united between themselves in what we call the path of balance. The path of balance is made up of 10 waves. And the waves, as we begin to understand and experience them, is what allow us to experience suspension. Because the wave is the subtle movement within our physical body that allow us to really experience 3 dimensions and then the union between gravity and expansion. Without the waves, we only have just movement that is also ruled by compression, and that movement innocently breaks the energy field and it breaks the experience of what it is to be suspended and what it is to be moving in 3 dimensions. So this is just the beginning for you to start seeing it and remembering. And as I said, through the study, you always are doing one of those 10 waves. And when you begin to understand the level, the degree of quality of the wave and the differentiation between waves, you begin to unravel and experience the simplicity existing within the movement. Okay? The first wave occurs in the first movement of unity and motion. In the first movement, we gather the energy to foundation, and the first wave is an outflowing wave. In which case, then the movement of the arm, beginning in the elbow, begin to extend in a ripple effect until attain his maximal extension, called crown. And remember that crown is beginning to have in a specific direction, because if you start moving back a little bit, it creates pressure upon you. So you're beginning to discover the angle of crown and unity in motion, the first movement. The second movement is called the inflowing wave, in which the energy begins to return inside of you. From inside, it began to suspend, and suspended a wave, and then descend into foundation. So the first 2 waves are the outflowing wave and the inflowing wave. So in the beginning, we begin to learn it through the experience of the arms. And then we begin to understand, okay, now the outflowing wave and the inflowing wave are really begin to become merged when I move through the spine. So when the energy races from the pelvic floor to the crown, and from the crown to the pelvic floor, the inflowing wave and the outflowing wave becomes merging waves. Yeah? So the first one then is the outflowing wave. The second one is the inflowing wave. And now the 2 of them, the one outflowing raises to the crown, merging at the center and then move. And the second one descending from the crown to foundation. So this is the 3 first wave are included in the first movement. Yeah? Beautiful. The first one, as I said, outflowing wave, inflowing wave, and now merging both through your awareness of perceiving the change of the center of gravity and the descending within the spine. Those are the first 3 waves. The fourth wave is when you begin to raise in the energy, and we touch in balance, we touch on central heart, and now we have descending ascending wave. The descending ascending wave is that I begin to descend in a point in a space that allow me to enter the directions of my arms. So the directions of my arm allow me to raise at the same time that I'm descending. So I am descending through the energy in my arms as I'm ascending through the spine to the inner arc. So that is the fourth wave. It becomes more clear, the fourth wave, when you come to suspend the diamond, because you have more space to go down from here to experience the full experience of the descending ascending wave that it takes me to crown. So remember that the fourth wave occurs in central crown, but it's so tiny here that you don't have a lot of space to experience all this inner connection inside of you. But in the suspended diamond, you have a lot of movement to descend into it before you go to crown. Beautiful. Now, the fifth wave is called the releasing wave. And the releasing wave is occurring as I move to go to suspended diamond, and as I move through the delicate heart, as I go to central crown. And the reason it's called releasing wave, because you begin to experience that as you're moving in an ever-changing diamond, as you're moving from within all the way up, the energy that you are creating or expressing through the movement passes through you. So as you're moving, the energy releases through you in order not to get caught within your cell, within the skeleton again. Because otherwise what happens is if we start grabbing, you see, if we start sensing the skeleton too much, everything becomes constricted then, and then we lose in the wave that is actually the energetic suspension of 3 dimensions. So the 5th wave is the releasing wave, yeah, the one that takes us to crown. Beautiful. Now, the 6th wave is the interchanging wave, when we go from symmetry to asymmetry. Remember when we start changing, the changing of the symmetry into asymmetry? Wonderful. And what it means is that you begin to discover that as this arm opens, this arm inside of you has a corresponding movement. So they are interchanging between each other, and they are creating the connection of the skeleton in 3 dimensions, right here. All this will become clear in your experience as you begin to practice them, okay? So this is the 6th wave that occurs in the interchanging balance. The 7th wave is the riding wave, and we experience the riding wave and as we begin to define the outer mandala clearly, because we begin to, from foundation, we unfold to forward earth. And remember that I said that earth is the beginning of the pelvic floor. So as we begin to find that connection in the skeleton, then the extensions of your arms becomes a mirror reflection of the extension of the spine. So it becomes an effortless extension inside of your being. So you begin to, that's the reason you begin to understand what is called riding, because you're riding the wave into wherever you're going, into the motion. So it is experiences mostly when you go to the outer mandala. You also can experience the riding wave when you go from moon around the crown, because the circularity of the motion allows you to suspend the spine again within you. So there will be all the places that you begin to sense the plane and the space are moving your spine. And then the motion becomes effortless because it's moving you. The planes in which you're moving in a space is moving you instead of you creating the movement. And that is a wonderful experience. So that will be the riding wave, the 7th wave. Now, the 8th wave is called encircling wave, and that is you can begin to experience in the releases. Remember when we define earth, and the second time that we define foundation, we do the suspended wave, and the wave, circular wave, allows to suspend the spine, and you're experiencing that motion, or you're experiencing in the release of expansion when you're encircling the wave to come back to the top of the head and release the spine to bring you back into entering crown, and then in the release of heaven. Remember, this is a big encircling wave that allows you to come within as you release without, and then return to foundation. So the 8th wave is called encircling wave. Now, the 9th wave is a wave that you will learn in the second and third section, and it's called inner outer wave. And it's a small wave that you begin to experience how the energy from which you initiate the movement travels through you, and when it gets to the end of the traveling, will be your fingers, it can return back into you. This one can be experienced, of course, in the outflowing wave, because it's a full ripple effect of energy taking you out. But then it's good to learn the smallest motion, because you will learn in the second and third section that the smallest motion corresponds to the connections to your legs and correspond to many places in the skeleton. So this movement, this wave will become very, very important in your learning. It's called inner, outer, outer, inner wave. And now the last wave is called expanded wave. And the expanded wave is a wave that when it gets completed, like for example, the maximum extension gets completed in heaven and infinity, and when you're descending, each frame becomes a continuation of extension within your being. So you will begin to notice that every frame in space has its own extension. And what it implies then the center of gravity through the spine can move through you. And it will take you away from the idea that because you're moving down with your arms, then you're going to press down with your skeleton. So we learn to connect through each point in space and experience that the extension gets maintained or gets renewed within every frame. So it will allow you to experience again the non-creation of weight upon yourself and the connection to the planes of space that allows you always extend through your body or through your skeleton. All right? Thank you. In our definition of all the waves and explanation of all the waves, it's important to remember that the waves act as a scenario for you to begin to understand the energy existing within your body. And the differentiation of each wave, as I said earlier, creates a quality within the connection of the path of balance, and it will assist you to understand the energetic connection between the geometry and yourself. But as you become more and more familiar with the waves, you will understand that all the 10 waves eventually merge into one wave. So then the whole path of balance is a continual wave that becomes undifferentiated, or if you like to, you could differentiate it, and you could say this particular plane in space and this particular experience correspond to this wave and this wave. And this differentiation, as I said earlier, allows you to attain or experience the subtlety of energy existing within your sense of balance.